the night that changed everything. The rain drummed softly against the windshield as Sarah pulled her worn sedan into the parking lot of Henderson's Bar and Grill. The neon lights blurred through the water droplets, creating a kaleidoscope of colors against the dark November night. She checked her phone. 11:47 p.m. Another late pickup for her rideshare job. Sarah had been driving nights for 3 months now, ever since her ex-husband stopped sending child support. During the day she worked at the local grocery store, but that barely covered rent for their small apartment. Emma, her 8-year-old daughter, was everything to her, and Sarah would do whatever it took to keep them afloat. She smoothed her blonde hair back into its ponytail and straightened her polo shirt, the same uniform she wore at the store, now doubled as her driving outfit. Professional enough, she hoped, though the fabric had seen better days. Her phone buzzed with the passenger details. Michael, no last name, no profile picture, just a downtown address that screamed expensive. The bar door opened, and Sarah watched as a woman in a server's uniform guided a tall man in a dark business suit toward her car. Even in the dim light, she could see he was struggling to walk straight. His tie was loosened, his usually perfect hair disheveled. Michael slid into the back seat with a heavy sigh, his head falling back against the headrest. "Sorry," he mumbled, his voice thick with exhaustion more than alcohol. "Long night?" "No problem," Sarah said gently, adjusting her rearview mirror. "We all have those." "Where to?" He gave her an address in the hills, the kind of neighborhood Sarah had only seen in magazines. As they drove through the quiet streets, she noticed him in the mirror. His eyes were closed, but she could see the tension in his jaw, the way his hands clenched and unclenched. "Rough day at work?" she asked softly, knowing sometimes passengers needed to talk. Michael opened his eyes, meeting hers in the mirror. "You could say that." "Lost a big contract today. Laid off 12 people." His voice cracked slightly. "Good people with families." Sarah's heart tugged. She recognized that the burden of responsibility of other people depending on you. "I'm sorry. That must have been incredibly difficult. The worst part is, I know them all by name. Jenny in accounting just had her second baby. Tom's got a son starting college next year." He rubbed his forehead. "My board says it's just business, but ... double quotes, but they're not just numbers on a spreadsheet," Sarah finished quietly. Michael looked up, surprised. Exactly. They drove in comfortable silence for a while, winding through the hills. The city lights twinkled below them like fallen stars. Sarah had always found something peaceful about driving at night. The world felt smaller, more intimate. "Can I ask you something?" Michael said suddenly. "Sure. How do you do it?" "Stay positive. I mean, you're out here working at," he checked his expensive watch, midnight, "dealing with drunk strangers, and you're still kind." Sarah considered this as she took a gentle turn. "I have a daughter, Emma. She's 8. When you have someone depending on you, someone who believes you can fix anything, you find a way to keep going." "What happened to her father?" The question hung in the air. Sarah usually deflected personal questions from passengers, but something about Michael's tone, genuinely caring, not just making conversation, made her answer honestly. "He left when things got hard. Said he wasn't ready for the responsibility." She shrugged, though her hands tightened on the steering wheel. "Turns out he was right. You can't force someone to care. His loss." Michael said simply. They pulled into a long driveway lined with perfectly manicured hedges. The house at the end was enormous, all glass and steel, gleaming under subtle landscape lighting. Sarah felt a familiar pang of inadequacy, but Michael wasn't getting out. He sat forward, studying her reflection in the mirror. "What's your name? Your real name?" Sarah, I want to ask you something. And please don't think I'm crazy." He paused, seeming to gather courage. "I run a company. We provide logistics solutions for small businesses. I've been looking for someone to head our community outreach program, someone who understands what real people need." Sarah's heart began to race. "I don't understand. You've been working 2 jobs to support your daughter, right? The grocery store during the day, driving at night." When she nodded, he continued. "The position pays $65,000 a year, full benefits, normal hours. You'd work with small business owners, help them access our services at reduced rates." Sarah pulled the car into park, her hands trembling. "Why would you offer that to me? You don't even know me." Michael opened his door but didn't get out. Instead, he leaned forward, his expression earnest. "In the last 20 minutes, you've shown me more genuine compassion than I've received from colleagues I've known for years. You understand struggle. You care about people, not just profit." He pulled out his business card. "Think about it. Call me tomorrow if you're interested." Sarah took the card with shaking hands. Michael Chen, CEO, Chen Logistics Solutions. The address was downtown, in one of the tall glass buildings she drove past every day. "I don't know what to say. We'll think about it." Michael smiled, the first real smile she'd seen from him all night. Emma deserves to have her mom home for dinner. 3 weeks later, Sarah sat in her new office, reviewing applications for the small business grant program she'd helped design. Through her window, she could see the grocery store where she used to work, and she thought about how one night, one act of simple kindness, had changed everything. Michael knocked on her doorframe. "How are you settling in?" "Better than I ever imagined." Sarah smiled. "Thank you again. Thank you for reminding me why I started this company in the first place. He paused. How's Emma adjusting to having you home more? She says I'm less grumpy. Sarah laughed. Turns out getting more than 4 hours of sleep makes a difference. Listen, I was wondering, would you and Emma like to come to dinner this weekend? I make a mean spaghetti and meatballs. Sarah felt her cheeks warm. Over the past weeks, she'd gotten to know Michael, not the overwhelmed CEO from that rainy night, but the man who remembered every employee's birthday, who stayed late to help when someone struggled, who'd been looking for someone who shared his values. She'd like that, Sarah said softly. We both would. As Michael walked away, Sarah turned back to her window. Sometimes, she reflected, life changed in the most unexpected moments. Sometimes, when you opened your heart to help someone else, you ended up saving yourself too. The rain had stopped weeks ago, but Sarah would always remember that night. A lonely single mom and a burdened CEO found exactly what they didn't know they were looking for.